So what are the motions at the foot, ankle, and tibia that we need in the golf swing? So the key motions to know would be in the sagittal plane is dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. So think when your toes are coming closer to your knee, that is dorsiflexion. This is the motion that a lot of people struggle with. The opposite of that would be plantar flexion, where we're kind of pushing down. Think about like stepping on a gas pedal. That is plantar flexion. It's kind of a force-producing motion. Dorsiflexion is more of a force absorption motion, right? It's a mobility thing that, again, a lot of people lack. Very important as well is this supination and pronation at the foot. So supination would be where the feet are kind of coming underneath us and almost like the feet are pointing towards each other, while pronation would be like you're trying to take the bottom of your feet and point them out, right? So we got supinated foot, pronated foot. It could also be considered like an inverted foot being supination and an everted foot, creating eversion in that plane as being a pronated foot. We're going out and away, out and away. A lot of people struggle with this pronation motion, right? So what we expect when we do some testing is for this to be what someone's pronation and supination looks like. Without this knee moving too much, we want to see, can we go sole of the foot towards the ceiling and then sole of the foot out and away. So it looks kind of like this. Now, we're not obviously getting that foot all the way towards the ceiling, but we want this to be a pretty fluid motion. People usually have more supination than pronation. This would be a decent little test here. What you'll find is some people really kind of get almost nothing in terms of pronation, just doesn't move. Same thing on this left side. We got some supination, pronation, supination, pronation. I'm just getting better and better at that. You can see the motor control. It's kind of a subjective test. We just want to see, can you do it pretty fluidly without too much excessive motion, right? And I struggle a little bit with pronation on this left foot. Besides that, what we want is rotation. So this rotation is happening kind of here at the knee joint and at the ankle. So we want tibial internal and external rotation. Now again, we can't let this move because then this is a compensated motion, right? We want it just to be from these joints, and we want 20 degrees at least of internal rotation, 20 degrees at least of external. Everyone has better external rotation for the most part. A lot of people struggle to get at least 20 with internal rotation. Make sure as you do that internal rotation that you get that bottom of the foot, that arch down. Some people kind of cheat. They do like this. This is not the same thing as that, right? And so yeah, internal rotation, external rotation. Those are some of the key movements, motions of the ankle, right? 20 degrees internal, external rotation. We got dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, and then we have supination, pronation, which is more of a subjective test. So how do we measure dorsiflexion to know if we have enough? There's a few ways to do it. One way that we can do it is simply by, in a kind of weight-bearing stance, is let's go one foot in front of the other. We want these foot almost perfectly in line, and then I want you to squat straight down. The key here is without this bottom heel on this backside foot, we don't want that heel to come off the ground, and we want to see, can we get this knee to, we call the medial malleolus, this little bump on the inside of your forward ankle. If we can get that knee to the malleolus and beyond, then we know we have pretty good weight-bearing dorsi ankle flexion, as much as we should need, right? And if we struggle and we can't get that knee to or past that medial malleolus without that heel popping up like that, then we think, okay, we need to work on some dorsiflexion on that side. We say it's probably restricted. Some sources will say about 4 inches of dorsiflexion is normal. There's different ways to do this. About a fist width from the front toe. We can measure that distance, put a driver in front, and then without letting your hips steer towards one side or the other, just see, can we get your knee that distance in front of your toe, again, without this heel coming off the ground. So that is some of the motions, the key motions at the foot and ankle that we'd expect and want to see in a golfer.